Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to all of you on Discord. I see you. First things first, this is part of a community event called the Purple Team Summit. See, Sans, probably the leader in information security training, did their inaugural Purple Team Summit last year in 2019. And it was awesome. It was a ton of fun. They did it in Texas, in Dallas. I had like 200 people. It was great. We all got to talk about how we're doing purple teaming in our organizations. I gave a talk of how we were doing at City and met a whole bunch of cool people that were doing this and saw the value in purple teaming. This year, because of COVID, they're not doing that. So we just got together, a bunch of the people from that summit, and said, hey, let's do one ourselves. So this is it. This is the first workshop. You can go to Purple Team Summit. The link is there on the chat so that you can see what we have going on. So this is a workshop. This is the first workshop of the summit called Hands-On Purple Team Workshop. It's a 3-hour workshop. I'm going to talk about for an hour. And then you have MITRE ATT&CK at 1 p.m. MITRE ATT&CK is not something we're hosting. It's hosted by MITRE. They also had an ATT&CK last year, and this year, instead of being in person, they're doing these power hours. It's really an hour and a half, 90 minutes long. So you have that there. And then after that, 2:30, you have Rod Soto and Jose Hernandez coming to do the attack range with Splunk. This is where you get to create your environment, your own environment for purple teaming. So while we're giving you an environment here today, you are going to be able to create your own this afternoon. And I see someone said, yes, it's all recorded. Everything's going to be recorded. This is being recorded right now. If you're watching this on recording, hi, future me, and hi, future you. If the MITRE ATT&CK also recorded, Attack Range with Splunk recorded, and then the summit is tomorrow. The summit is awesome. The summit is going to start with a keynote from Tatiana Bolton. Many years of experience doing real purple teaming at the government level. She'll talk a little bit about policy. If you read her bio, you'll see she's been has many years of experience. And then a shorter keynote by Stephen Ridgway on show me the money, budget optimization through purple teaming. Then we break up into 2 tracks, the main track and the executive track, because one of the things we want to do is make sure that our executives and senior management understand what purple team is, right? And of course, we're going to go through all of that. So all of this is available. Check out the review committee we put together. Look at that diverse group of people from all over the world. Really happy to bring all these folks together. Many of these I actually met last year at the Purple Team Summit, like Gert or GJ, Olaf, Eric Van Bugena as a SANS instructor. He wrote the 2 Purple Team classes. Daniel, who works at Snowflake. Elisa, who runs the Purple Team podcast. Bryson, the CEO of Scythe. Sunil, right? Sina, Adam from MITRE. Sina is at Cheerio on Twitter. So I'm super excited. Now, the first thing I want to mention is the Discord. So people said that this Discord link is not working. So what I will do is I will generate another Discord link if you don't have it. And this is Discord. So let me grab a link here, create invite. Okay, this expires in here is a link to Discord. All right, and why Discord? Well, Discord is what we're using for the summit. So this is the Grim Discord. You can see up here on the top left, you have all the servers, and yes, there's a ton of them. I tried to kind of organize them in a particular way, but you'll get into this Grim Discord called Grim Public. See, there's a purple team on. Hello, we are at #workshop purple team. So down here, you see the Purple Team Summit. There's the lobby. There you have information about our keynote. This is going to be for tomorrow to hang out there, kind of like if you're in the lobby of a hotel. Then there's going to be the main track. So if we're going to talk about the main track, if you're watching the main track, you're going to be able to talk there. If you're watching the executive track, you talk there. And of course, we are here Look at that. And so is on TV. Hello, world. Good morning, Astro. Hello, David Munoz. Access token is null. What do you mean? You are in here. You are on here. Buenos dias. Bon dia. Those are the 3 languages I know. So that's all we're going to get. There we go. Lots of people saying hi. Okay, your access token is null. That's okay. It's getting provisioned. So which brings us to the next thing. So this is, and how we're going to do this is, I'm going to give you about an hour talk on purple teaming to learn a little bit about it and how we believe it works, right? And again, this is through industry, cyber threat intelligence. We're going to go through an actual threat. We're going to dissect it. We're going to pull out adversary behaviors. Then you are going to play the role of the red team to actually emulate those behaviors. And then you're going to defend against it. So you're going to do all of that in your own environment. The environment is created by VMware Learning Platform. So on here, we have Brandon. Brandon is making sure everyone's getting provisioned. We had 500 people on here. So it's getting provisioned. We started provisioning last night. Imagine we're building an environment for each of you. So it's not something that just spins up in a minute, right? It takes a little bit of time. So we're working on that right now. You should have gotten an email from VMware Learning Platform or events@scythe.io saying that you have an entitlement getting created, and we'll make sure that everyone gets a link to it. That way you don't have to log in. You don't have to create a username, password, any of that. We're going to do all that for you because, you know, let's make it easy. Again, if you're clicking on links, they're not ready yet. So give us a little bit of time. So with that said, do interact. If you have questions, I'm going to move my Discord down here, and I have, yes, if you haven't gotten an email, it's still okay. We'll make sure that you're provisioned and you have an account. It's going to use the email that you used on Zoom. So that's why I said to definitely use a real email address, right? Let me hide my start bar there. All right. And here we are. Let me move my face down here because I don't need to see myself. I do need to see Discord. And there we go. How long is the VM going to be up for? It's going to be 3 hours. Why? Because you're not paying for this. Someone else is. So I do want to thank Scythe. Both Scythe and Grim have kind of sponsored all of this, from the Zoom that we're using that has 1,000 people capacity, to the GoToWebinars tomorrow, to the workshops in the afternoon today, to the Discord, etc. So thank you for all that. And I'm going to walk you through all this. So don't worry, you're going to get your 3 hours. And that's plenty of time. Generally, you can get this done in less time. So with that said, let's get to it. Who am I? I'm George Archias. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. And thanks for coming. This is T1033. So we're going to see a lot of MITRE ATT&CK mapping as we go through. So who am I? I'm the Chief Technology Officer of Scythe. Been here for about 5 months. Actually was a Scythe user when I worked at Citi. I led the offensive security team there for 10 years, grew to 145 ethical hackers doing everything from source code review to vulnerability scanning, vulnerability assessment, pen testing, red teaming, purple teaming, all that fun stuff. So lots of fun there. Since coming over, published a lot of things. One of them is the Purple Team Exercise Framework. That's free. That's for you to build a Purple Team program in your organization. You can say, look, this is what the industry has been doing. Let's do it here. It makes sense. Look at all this value we can bring. So you get that for free. We really believe in giving back to the community. The workshop is being recorded. The workshop is being recorded. I also worked on the C2 matrix, which is a command and control matrix, co-creator with Bryson, Adam, and now that's just a community project. Anyone can contribute to it. So you too could be part of the C2 matrix. I teach for SANS Security 560 and 504. So shout out to all those GPens and GCIH out there. I wrote a 2-day course, Red Team Exercises and Adversary Emulation, that goes way more in depth of all of this that we're talking about here. Actually giving that next week at Hackfest. Worked on the common vulnerability scoring system, on a threat-led pen test framework through the Global Financial Markets Association, and I'm an ISSA fellow. Love ISSA. Shout out to any ISSA members. So what is going to happen here? Give me 1 second. Writing to Brandon real quick because he's making sure everyone's provisioned, and that when you do get the emails from VMware Learning, one is that you're registered. I think some of you are getting an email that's saying that the token is null, and that's okay. We will fix that for you. We'll get you an email with the right thing, right? So hands-on format, what are we doing? This is a brand new lab environment for you to play all 3 roles: the role of cyber threat intelligence, the role of red team, and the role of blue team, and really the role of exercise coordinator, because you're going to use something called Vector at the end. It's built on VMware Learning platform, so you are going to be getting emails about this. You do not need to set up your own machines. We've done all of this for you. We're going to go through this for about an hour, go through this lecture portion, and then you have 2 hours to play in the lab environment. Technically, you have 3 if you've seen this before, if you've already read the PTEF, and you just want to go on your own. As soon as you get an email with the correct, with an actual access token, that means your environment's provisioned. You can click on that and go over to the environment and play. The environment has a number of systems. It has a Windows member server, and that's the one you're going to log into. From there, you're going to be able to access Scythe, which is the industry-leading adversary emulation attack platform, from a web app. You're going to be able to access Vector from a web app, and then create your tests. From there, you also have Wireshark. You're going to learn how to use Sysmon, things like that. You can also attack with the SANS Slingshot C2 Matrix Edition, and there's a domain controller that you can hit. So for those of you that are going to try to go ahead of me, that's completely fine. Let me show you what's going to look like. You're going to get a link, and that link will work when you click on it. And it's going to load. So what do you get? Here you are. This is what's going to happen when you click on the link. You're going to get Scythe Purple Team Workshop. You're going to have a manual over here on the right. This is what walks you through. If you don't want to get walked through and you're like, I know everything I need to do, you can go on your own. That's completely fine. But this does walk you through. It tells you about cyber threat intelligence, how to go through it. It's going to tell you how to set up your first campaign. Then it's going to actually run the campaign, execute it. Then you're going to detect it with Wireshark, right? Then how to use Wireshark. Then you're going to emulate Orange Worm, which is the threat that you're going to create. Then you're going to detect that with Sysmon. So as you see, lots of cyber threat intelligence, some red team, blue team, red team, blue team, red team, blue team. And then all the way at the end, you have the Vector, where you can import and track it. Now this here in the middle is your virtual machine. You need to hit Control-Alt-Delete. Control-Alt-Delete is right here. Control-Alt-Delete. And you need to put a password. What is the password? The password is right here on notes. See, student, student. Don't ask me what the password. You just need to click on notes. And don't ask me for the password or credentials for Scythe or Vector either. They're right here. You click on notes. You have the notes for the login of the OS and the login for Scythe and Vector. As you can see, the password is unicorn, because we are the unicorns, right? You've all seen our awesome mascot, the unicorn. So you log in, student, hit enter. You're now in this environment. This is where you're going to do most of your work. And again, the lab walks you through all of this. you will not be able to log into this platform after today. No, you have to do it today during the workshop because, again, this costs money. So we want to thank the sponsors, Scythe, for providing this environment for you. But again, we can't leave it running. In cloud computing, you pay per use, and quite a bit of you are already on. And no, you do not need to create an account. We are creating the account for you. You will get the link. No one has the link yet. No one has the link. I'm just showing you. Once you get the link, a lot of you are going to ignore what I'm saying and you're going to go on your own. So I'm trying to explain that before that. Can I have your shirt? Yes, you can definitely have this shirt. We have David Munoz who is on. He is new from our marketing team. He's going to figure out ways to get you to get a shirt, and we'll figure that out because there's like 500 of you. So I don't know if we have 500 shirts, but we can make more. We also have stickers. The stickers are awesome. Where are the stickers? The stickers are here. Check this out. Bam. They're so cool, right? So we'll figure out a way to get you all that and shirts and all that. So yeah. But anyway, back to the lab. Over on the left, you have the consoles. So you have the SANS slingshot. This is a C2 Matrix Edition slingshot we created that has 8 different command and control frameworks. We're going to walk you through one. But if you want to go and do your own, you can visit howto.thec2matrix.com and go through your own, right? Because I don't want to keep you in the lab if you've already done this. Then once you're in here, you can open up a web browser. Within the web browser, you have these 2 favorites. You can click on Scythe, that'll load up Scythe. You can open another one, click Vector, that'll load up Vector, and you can log into these and use them. Use Scythe as the attack tool, use Vector to track it, and use Wireshark and Sysmon and things like that. You do have to install Sysmon. So with all that said, are there questions so far? You do not have to pay to access the lab link. No. The process for logging into the VM is we are provisioning your account right now. Yes, we are using Olaf Hartong's sysmodular. So if David Munoz is mentioning, if you want swag, you got to go tweet us right now at Scythe_IO. Yes, I'm going to send the recording to everyone. When this is done, if you signed up, you will get the recording link. The last question is, how do you get access to the lab? You will get that. We are provisioning that, right? We have 1 hour of lecture, 2 hours of lab environment. So hang tight. There's 500 environments getting spun up since yesterday. They will be ready. We've added all your emails. Now, if you gave a fake email, then we're going to have a problem, because with a fake email, that fake email is the one that's going to get provisioned. So hopefully you didn't give a fake email, but we'll figure that out in a bit. So what are we doing here? Apart from hearing George ramble, try to get free Scythe swag, because it is the best swag, right? We are here to learn. We love giving back to the community. I love being a SANS instructor. I love teaching. I love getting people into this and as excited as I am. So you're going to learn. You're going to learn by listening. You're going to learn by seeing, because I'm going to walk through everything. And you're going to learn by doing it in your own environment. We're not going to spend time having you create your own environment. That is this afternoon's workshop. That one will show you how to do your own environment. Here, we want to get right to it. We want to learn how Purple Team works and get you doing purple teaming, because it's a lot of fun. And it's also very valuable for your organization. So take it back to work, right? Understand this, understand the value, and share it with your coworkers. Share it with your manager. Show how building a Purple Team program will bring value to your organization. And of course, we're going to give you CPE credits, because I know most of you need CPE credits. And it's been so hard now that we can't go to our meetups. So you can do that there as well. Are there breaks? No, there's no breaks. I'm going to talk for an hour, and then you have 2 hours to do whatever you want. You can take your breaks then. On which Discord are we on? Let me grab the link again. Hold on. Copy, and I'm going to paste that over to you right now. Where's Q&A? Sent over to you, Daniela. Oh, hi, Daniela. I think you're the Daniela I know from the Netherlands, right? Hi, thanks for coming. You're awesome. She helps out with the blue team village, which by the way is an awesome village, just like the red team village. You're going to get the CPEs at the end. I actually forgot to upload that, so don't worry. I'll upload the CPEs at the end, and there's instructions at the end. Some of the lab VMs are from SANS. Only one VM is from SANS. That is the SANS Slingshot C2 Matrix Edition. That is one that we created that has 8 different C2s in it. So you can download that for free. I wouldn't download it today because on Monday we're releasing a new version. So stay tuned. On Monday we'll get you that. So I think I've answered as much questions as I see. Take a break whenever you want. If I can shift the bookshelf to the left. No, can't do that. And we will be sending you lab links. Don't worry. All right, cool. So what are we here? What are we doing? We're going to talk about purple teaming. We have built what's called the Purple Team Exercise Framework. This is about a 20-page document that you can implement in your organization. It's been implemented by a bunch of organizations, right? I mentioned I worked at Citi. That's where I wrote most of it from. But we also have a bunch of other people, like Sina wrote about this. Ben from Kimberly-Clark. So a number of people came together. We built this framework and we are giving it to you. What's that framework look like? Looks like what's over here on the right. Covers cyber threat intelligence. Purple Team isn't only about red and blue. We have to leverage cyber threat intelligence. And it's not IOCs that we're talking about. We're not talking about indicators of compromise. We're talking about adversary behavior. So we're going to cover that here. And then preparation. There's a lot of preparation that goes on because when you do the exercise, you're bringing a bunch of people together. You're taking them out of their day job. They're already working a bunch of hours. So this should be a fun event where everyone learns, but you want to be respectful of everyone's time and make sure that you're efficient during that. So preparation is very important, then execution, and then lessons learned. And that's what we're going to go through. So enjoy. So this is my attempt at being funny. I always ask my daughter, who's now 7 years old, but when she was like 4 or 5, I'd ask her, hey, how do you make purple? She'd say, Daddy, that's easy. You take red and you mix it with blue and look, and she'll take her crayons. She'll do it. Now she's almost 7 years old, and she's like, oh, she rolls her eyes at me like, why do you always ask me about purple? How hard can it be? Shouldn't be that hard, right? You take red and you mix it with blue and they work together, right? Your red team and your blue team work together. But what has happened in a lot of organizations is it feels like Mike Tyson is grabbing both of our necks and being like, now Kith, right? And it doesn't work like that. We actually need to create this collaborative culture between ourselves, between our teams, right? And that is often a problem, right? Because traditionally the red team has just like beat up on the blue team. Red team, I don't know for what reason, and I am guilty of this too, and I apologize. But we thought that winning was going in and punching the blue team in the face and knocking them out. And that is not how that works. You're on the same team. You need to look at it more as a sparring partner where, yeah, you might throw a punch, but you also defend and you never knock out your partner, right? At the end, you hug each other. And then when the real challenge comes, right, when it's time to fight that title match in the ring, then you're on the same corner. And that's how this should be. For the longest time, we were very adversarial about that, right? So what you think will happen is that you're going to get your blue team and you're going to get your red team and everyone's going to sit in person, right, when COVID's over. I know we all hated meetings, but how nice would it be to sit in a meeting with a bunch of people and interact, right, face to face right now? And right, and it's going to look all nice. Everyone's going to smile and all that. But what might happen is this, right, where the red and the blue team aren't getting along and they're going to fight and they're going to say passive aggressive things to each other, right? Been there, done that. Yeah, that's what we're all going to talk about here. So do download the framework. It's free. It's available at scythe.io/ptef. It's a 20-page document if you want to follow along. If you read this before, then that's awesome. Because that means you're more prepared for this class than others. If you didn't, don't worry. I'm literally going to walk through most of it. There's obviously more details in the actual framework, but here we are. So what is purple teaming? You keep saying purple. I love purple. I love it because of the color, but also because of the purple unicorn. But it's not just a color, right? It is a virtual team that comes together and works together. And a lot of people think it's red and blue only. It's not. Cyber threat intelligence has a seat in the table. See, cyber threat intelligence, if you have a dedicated team in your organization, then they can provide you adversaries that are actively attacking you or actively attacking other organizations in your industry, right? And I said, I came from the financial space, so we do a lot of industry sharing there. We have FSISAC, and we hear about smaller banks getting compromised, right? And I'll give you a perfect example of this. We had a couple of Mexican banks. They were getting hit by these fast cash hacks. Have you heard of these? The hackers go in and they get into the back-end systems of the ATMs, and then they remove withdrawal limits and overdraft limits. Then they steal all these these debit card numbers, and they send mules, you know, those work from home and get a lot of money with like 1,000 cards, and they go through the ATMs on the weekend, right? When less people are working and no one's at the actual branch, they withdraw a bunch of money, right? And over a weekend, you can lose millions of dollars. So we were getting information about this, and it turned out being a group, an actual group, and all this is public information that was doing this. Because we shared information, when they came after the larger banks, right? And the larger banks being Citibanamex was one of the largest banks there, but there's a bunch of other banks, right? That we all work together. When we saw that the malicious actors were attacking, we knew their behavior. We knew how they were getting in. We knew what they were doing for lateral movement, and we knew what they were after. So we worked with the law enforcement, not just our bank, a number of different banks, because they were hitting all of them, to watch them and track them. And because of that cyber threat intel and collaboration amongst a number of teams, they were caught and they went to trial and they were arrested, all 8 of them. All of this is in the news. It's all public information, but hopefully that shows you the value that cyber threat intel plays as your organization matures. Then, of course, you have the red team. The red team's the offensive team, right? They are in charge of actually emulating the adversary. And then you have the blue team. What is the blue team? There's no role called the blue team. Like if you go look for jobs, none of them are blue team. Blue team is what we call the defenders, right? All the defenders. And we appreciate all of you. All of you work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I did that. I worked at a SOC, Security Operations Center. Yes, can I please order 1 blue team? Yes, how many would you like on that? Would you like a little hunt team on that blue team that you would like? Would you like some DFIR as well, digital forensics and incident response? Or if you can't afford the blue team, how about we give you some managed services, an MSSP, or a managed detection and response, right? We mentioned Olaf Hartong already, part of our advisory of the CFP review. He has this awesome tool called Sysmon modular. You're going to use that, but he runs a company called Falcon Force, which is a managed detection and response. So all of you are the blue team, and the whole point is bringing all of these together. So how does an exercise go? Well, it really depends on how you do the exercise. If it's a 1-hour exercise or a 1-day-long exercise or a week-long. We just did a 6-week-long exercise. It was awesome. We have a great presentation on that we just put together and recorded. It's going to be at Hack in the Box next week on, I believe, Thursday is our presentation. So if you want to check that out, it goes through 4 different adversaries we emulated over a 6-week period and how we did it. And then tomorrow at the summit, Ben from Kimberly-Clark is going to come talk about how he does 1-hour exercises because he has a very diverse global team, so he can do exercises in 1 day. But overall, depending on if you do an hour long, a day long, a week long, a month long, the exercise flow is very similar. You start with someone presenting the adversary. Generally, this is a cyber threat intelligence team. They say, look, this is the adversary that we are looking at and prepared, right? Pick one. We're going to do orange worm here. Yes, I will perform all the labs, but you can also go on your own. The question is, will I be performing the steps on the lab and we follow, or we follow a manual by your own? Either. You can do either of them. It's the beauty of it. It's your own lab environment. So if you break everything, you can actually just hit the reset button and it'll reset it for you. But yeah, I'll also walk through on that. And I love your name, by the way. What else did I see here? Any other questions? Brandon, how are we doing? Send me a DM over here, Brandon, letting me know what's up, just so I know. So the whole point, you start the exercise, cyber threat intelligence says, look, this is orange worm. That's what we're gonna do here. Orange worm is a threat to hospitals and healthcare, right? And I picked orange worm on purpose because you should not be attacking hospitals right now, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic, right? The other one that we just released was Ryuk. Ryuk is ransoming hospitals. That is wrong in every way, shape, or form you look at it. So we need to out these people. And what they do is you go through and you see a hospital that was attacked by this adversary. They do forensics, and then they grab and share the cyber threat intelligence report. The cyber threat intelligence team will read through that report. We'll talk about the behaviors, the tactics, techniques, and procedures, and technical details to all the attendees. And then all the attendees are going to tabletop it. They're going to say, okay, this is what Orange Worm does. This is how I think we will be able to defend against this particular TTP. The red team will then share their screen, and they will be able to see what the red team does, right? The red team's emulating it. It's a learning experience, right? Sometimes the blue team doesn't see this. Sometimes the cyber threat intelligence doesn't see it. Sometimes you have executives in the room. Let everyone learn, right? Sharing information, that's what we're here for. So you emulate that, and then the blue team goes and they do their blue teaming, right? So the SOC will analyze their SIM, the hunt team will go look through their EDR, endpoint detection and response. The forensics team will pull memory from that device and do their stuff, right? And then they share their screen, right? The SOC folks will share their screen, be like, look, this is the view we have. This is the alert that came in. This is the time the alert came in. And then you can match that with the time that the red team did their work. Then the hunt team could be like, oh, and look, the EDR did this. And the forensic analyst can say, look, in memory, it shows you have this connection now. And you document all those results. And sometimes your expectations are going to match, which is wonderful. You document that. But sometimes, probably most of the time, that is not going to match, right? We have expectations. We bought this product. It said it's going to stop ransomware. Why is it not stopping ransomware? Well, because you probably didn't tune it. You just plugged it in and saw the blinky lights and said, yes, we are more secure. I know none of you think that, but your executives probably do. So that's why we invite them to the table as well. And then what do? You adjust, you modify that, etc. So I see a lot of you have received the link. Links are coming in. I see Nitish. If you want, you can send your email over the Zoom chat to Brandon, and he can check. If you got an access token equals null, then don't worry. That means you're being provisioned. We got your right email address. Don't worry. You're gonna get it. Again, we're not starting that for an hour. If you get it now, then you can go. Okay, cool. Thank you for providing that on Zoom, and we'll do that. Next up, you then can tune things, right? Sometimes, and an example we had is we were doing command and control through RDP, and the expectation was absolutely not. We do not allow RDP outbound. Well, we did it. Like, it works. Look, immediately, because that was something that should not have been there. They saw a configuration change that was made on the fly for some particular executive, and they were able to fix it. Other things you're not going to be able to fix that fast, right? So you go through this and you go over and over and over. Cool. There you go. You're getting your access tokens. Again, if you're all right. Sorry, Brandon. Brandon is dealing with 230 people asking him for an access token right now. So, ethical hacking maturity model. This is something we put together. This is how I went through this 10 years of ethical hacking. Now, not everyone's going to go through it the same way. Other organizations are going to do this different. But how did we get here? Well, we started doing vulnerability scanning. That means you take your Nessus or your Nexpose or Insight VM or Qualys, you point it at some IPs or a web app, you hit go, and it scans it. And then you get a list of vulnerabilities. Then we said, all right, this 2,000-page report is not bringing much business value, is it? No one's going to read these 2,000 pages. So what do? Let's do vulnerability assessment. Let's put someone on that and have them analyze the vulnerability, verify it, assign it a severity, and then let's get that fixed. Awesome. Good. That's what I was doing when I joined 10 years ago. Then we thought, why don't we actually exploit these vulnerabilities? And that way we start doing penetration testing. We know and get rid of false positives. We only have real vulnerabilities. Well, that was great, but we were only focusing on technology. What about testing people and process? Well, that's where the red team came in. The red team came in to test assumptions. And we started doing that. But all of that was also blind testing, right? Just like your pen test. No one knows that you're doing it. So our customer became the blue team. And we were doing those as blind tests, but you only do those like once every 6 months, once a year. What were we doing the other time? That's when we started saying, hey, let's work together. We are on the same team. That's where purple team exercises came from. And then when it came time to what should we emulate? Then adversary emulation came about, where we emulate adversaries that matter. So this really shows you the shift from common vulnerability and exposure, CVEs. Any of you found CVEs, right? Those are vulnerabilities against technology, moving us towards tactics, techniques, and procedures, TTPs. And that is what we're focusing on now. Many organizations do this in what's called the assumed breach perspective. That means that at some point, there's going to be a vulnerability that's not patched, that's going to get exploited, or some user is going to fall for this, right? So it's important to test people, process, and technology. All right, I see some folks' labs are getting turned on, which is wonderful. Again, we're ahead of schedule. You can go and do your own, or you can keep hearing me talk. So red teams, the whole point was to test assumptions. On the bottom right, the practice of looking at a problem or situation from the perspective of an adversary. That's from the Red Team Journal. They are back. You should follow them on Twitter. You should also check out their site, redteamjournal.com. Then the blue team. We have to understand what the blue team does. Over on the right, I try to simplify more or less what the blue teams do. They log, they alert, and they respond to events, right? And then adversary emulation is when you emulate a particular adversary. So let's start with cyber threat intelligence, and that's the first thing we are going to do. Thank you. Someone mentioned, just watch me and listen to what I'm talking about. So cyber threat intelligence, you're actually going to do this, right? We are going to identify an adversary for you. That is orange worm. I've already told you about orange worm. And what we're going to do is we're going to gather threat intelligence on orange worm. We're going to extract the TTPs, the tactics, techniques, and procedures. Then we're going to analyze and organize those, and we're going to create a plan to then emulate the adversary. So all of this towards a purple team. I've already talked about how a purple team works. And purple team goals. When do you do a purple team? Whenever it's the right time, right? Before a zero knowledge red team engagement, after a zero knowledge red team engagement. And really, once you foster that collaboration, you should be able to run these continuously, or maybe once a month or once a quarter. So as far as methodologies, we have the purple team exercise framework. That's not the only one, right? There is the cyber kill chain, which many of you have heard of and might think, the cyber kill chain is horrible. And it does have its gaps, but the cyber kill chain actually brought senior executives to understand how an attack works. And if you're going to emulate an attack, you have to know how an attack works. Paul Poles then did a university paper called the Unified Cyber Kill Chain. Us in the financial space, there's a bunch. The Bank of England has CBES. The European Central Bank has threat intelligence-based ethical red teaming, or TIBER. In Singapore, you have the red team adversary attack simulation exercise. In Hong Kong, you have the intelligence-led cyber attack simulation testing. And because we were at a global organization and there were all these, we actually wrote one with the Global Financial Markets Association called A Framework for the Regulatory Use of Penetration Testing in the Financial Industry. And then, of course, we have the biggest one, right? And that's attack. MITRE ATT&CK. Look at that. I was actually able to fit it on one slide. So MITRE 2 weeks ago released this update, the one you see on your screen. They added 2 new tactics. You see those on the left: reconnaissance and resource development. That is the first steps they're taking. There used to be something called pre-attack, and now they've added it to attack. What is attack? Adversaries, tactics, techniques, and common knowledge. It's really a common language that allows all of us to speak the same language. Cyber threat intelligence can speak the same language. If you do defer, you can speak the same language. Say, look, this is what the attacker did. You can share this with red teams, blue teams, etc. Are the slides available? They are. The slides are available. They're on my slide share. Let me find them for you. Slideshare.net/George Orchillas. Here you go. There you go, all. I'll spam them all here. Of course they're available. They're always available. Why wouldn't they be available? All right, so that's MITRE ATT&CK. Then roles and responsibilities. And generally, if you do this in a large enterprise, you're going to have different people doing different things, right? You have your head of security, who's probably the sponsor. They're the ones you need to tell them about purple teaming, because they're the ones that are going to give you the budget to do this. They're the ones that are going to prove that your SOC personnel can leave for a one-day exercise that you are very excited about, right? Then you have cyber threat intel. You have your red team and blue team managers, right? So your offensive security team. Some organizations don't have an internal red team, and that's okay. We're going to show you how to play the red team. Most organizations have a blue team, right? But you're not called the blue team. You're called a security operations center analyst or hunt team or whatnot, right? So you need the managers, because they need to schedule you to not be doing BAU, right? Business as usual during this time. And then you need a project manager. I highly encourage you to get a project manager. The first couple ones of these, I try to be the project manager and the red team manager, and also work with the red team. And that was just too many roles to take on. So a dedicated exercise coordinator is highly recommended. That's someone that understands what cyber threat intel is, what the blue team does, what the red team does, and can bring everyone together. If you have an adversarial relationship within these teams, should be someone high up that will, you know, smack you all in order and make you all play nicely. So sponsors, these are the folks that approve your exercise. They need to know about this purple teaming, right? They can't just think, oh, you've come up with another color, haven't you? What now, right? But the whole point of purple teaming is to bring more business value, right? So they need to prove that. They have goals and scope. They have budgets. Anyone on Discord, can they tell me from what movie this meme is from? I think we'll give out a free shirt or something if you know the movie. And yeah, I know we're aging ourselves here. I don't think the younger folks will know. Oh, Risky Business is not it. All right, I'll let you all go. There we go. There we go. Awesome, cool. Good, great movie, right? Tom Cruise when he was a little younger than he is today. So anyway, show me the money, right? It's all about money. It's all about bringing business value, and that's why we're advocates for purple team. So time requirements. Again, Ben is going to talk tomorrow at the summit on how to run a 1-hour exercise. I am looking forward to this talk. Ben is an awesome speaker. He's been doing purple teaming for some time, and he's going to say how to do it in 1 hour. We have a presentation next week at Hack in the Box where we did a 6-week-long exercise. So you can choose. You can do a 1 hour, a 2 hour, a 4 hour, a half day. full day, 1 week, 4 days, 1 month, up to you. But always plan preparation. Preparation generally takes a little more than the actual exercise. And then lessons learned is going to be fixing those things. So cyber threat intelligence. I already mentioned all this. I'm going to skip this slide because it's almost time. It's almost time for you all to get hands-on for 2 hours. So if you have the null access token, just message Brandon. You do not need to message everyone else. Just message Brandon. Again, we are provisioning 250 labs, and each lab has a whole bunch of systems. So let me go through this real quick. Didn't receive the access token. Brandon, if you're checking Q&A as well, please. What's the password? Manual. Okay, I think I've answered all of them. Can I share the one MITRE ATT&CK image? Yeah, so it was already shared on the slides. All right, so when we talk about cyber threat intelligence, this part is important, right? We have David Bianco's Pyramid of Pain. And as you saw, anytime I use someone else's talks or whatnot, there's references to it. So please don't think I came up with this on my own. Definitely did not. Industry sharing, it's important. So David Bianco's Pyramid of Pain, like I did, I was on a panel with him, and I did the pyramid sign up, and hopefully you all get that. Take a little screenshot of us doing the pyramid and then tag him on Twitter and be like, hey, the pyramid sign. So Pyramid of Pain starts at the bottom, right? This is for defenders. David Bianco is and doesn't defer. He does intrusion analysis and response, right? And what it means is that at the bottom, hash values, like if I give you a payload and we know it's bad, it's trivial to block that in your environment, right? You use antivirus, right? If I give you a list of IPs and domain names are bad, you should be able to block that quite easily, right? But then as we go up the pyramid, it gets harder. And at the top is TTPs, or adversary behavior. That is the toughest thing to defend against, because a lot of these behaviors you can do yourself with a standard user account. And that's what we're going to focus on here. So how do you extract these TTPs? You read through cyber threat intel and you extract a map to MITRE ATT&CK. You can also use Attack Navigator. So we have a navigator layer for this, for Orange Worm, and I'll walk you through this right now. Then you analyze and organize this into a nice little table that's readable. Now, we do a lot of this, and we give it back to a community in what's called Threat Thursdays. So every week, or every other week, we introduce an adversary, we consume cyber threat intel, we map it to MITRE ATT&CK, we create an adversary emulation plan, which you're about to do, then we emulate the adversary and we talk about how to defend it. So let's take a look at Threat Thursday and really go through Orange Worm, right? So there's a whole bunch here, but we're gonna do Orange Worm. So anyone that wants to follow along, all panelists, bam, bam. All right, so what do? First, we consume cyber threat intel. There's a number of different articles here. We can open those and read through those. Everything you need to know about Orange Worm, right? Learn, oh my gosh, you can't open a website nowadays without getting a pop-up, right? We can review this. We can review this malicious payload and look at that. It's mapped to MITRE ATT&CK, which is wonderful. Each of these is a procedure, net view, task list, net local admin, net accounts. We can read some more threat intel, right? And shout out to all of those. You can see the biggest actor that Orange Worm went after is healthcare, which is wrong. They went against pretty much every country. And you can read through this, right? You can learn about their attacks, how they did. Look at that. They did run DLL 32. We're going to extract this and we're going to do this ourselves. Look at all of these commands that they ran. Now, you can create this and run this yourself with command.exe, or you can build it yourself. Now, one of the things that we do is we map to MITRE ATT&CK. So here, we actually have already done this for you, and I'm going to send you the link. Here you go. Here is mapping to MITRE ATT&CK, already done for you. You're going to be able to do this yourself in the lab if you would like, but pretty much this is everything that the attackers do for each tactic, right? Command and control, lateral movement, discovery, etc. Then we created the threat profile. What command and control is used? How do they do execution? How do they do defense evasion? How do they do discovery, right? Puts it in a little table that's a lot easier to consume. And then we actually give you the adversary emulation plan. So you're going to go through all of this in the lab shortly. And then we talk about how to defend against this. You're going to learn how to defend and detect this with Sysmon. Sysmon is a method to enable system monitoring in your environment. So I just went through Orange Worm. Here's a much smaller view of it. You see the description. It's a group that's been targeting organizations since 2015, particularly in healthcare. This is their C2. This is their execution, etc. And then as you plan your exercises, you need to choose the TTPs, the tactics, techniques, and procedures. And you want to choose things that will work, right? So tabletop this with the managers. What is the manager expectation? And this is a lot of fun. You sit all these managers together, and the SOC is going to think that they do something, and the defer team is going to think that they do something, and you just document. Document what you think works and doesn't. Now, what tools do you use to emulate this? Well, that is what the C2 matrix was created for. There's a ton of command and control matrices that you can use. So this is one example. There's a whole bunch of C2s on here. And there is the SANS Slingshot C2 Matrix VM, which you'll be able to use. Then logistics, you need to pick a place. Nowadays, you choose a platform. We're using Zoom. Each attendee should be able to share their screen. And then target systems. Most Purple Team exercises should run in production. Why? Because that is where you have to tune your defenses. We also get brought in to do these exercises in non-production environments when they're testing a new tool. And these EDRs, for instance, endpoint detection and response tools, do awesome in labs because they turn everything on. But when you try to do that in production, that is not the case. So this is an easy one. What movie is this from? Very, very easy. Okay, good. Yeah, Fire Ace got it right off the bat. So security tools, make sure that you have all the security tools enabled. In this environment, you're going to have antivirus. Windows Defender is fully enabled in this environment. We're also going to put some other tools on there like Sysmon, Wireshark, etc. Then create accounts. We already have accounts for you. Now, if you want to do this in a lab, today's afternoon workshop is Rod Soto and Jose Hernandez teaching you how to build your own lab on AWS using Splunk. There's also the folks from Atomic Purple Team. This is Defensive Origins. They work, it's Kent and Jordan. They work at Black Hills. Shout out to them. Love you guys. They have these labs for creating it in Azure. So you can build your own lab, right? Here, we have provided your own lab. We've set up the attack infrastructure for you. I'm just going to jump through all this because we already did all this. Red team prep, playbooks. You definitely want playbooks. We're going to show you how to do that. The blue team needs to be prepared. The defer team needs to be prepared. And then you kick off the exercise. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So you're going to start with cyber threat intel. And then you're going to emulate an adversary. At first, we're just going to show you how to set up a command and control server and create a binary. Very easy, just so you have an idea of how command and control works if you've never done it before. And then we're actually going to emulate Orange Worm. And then there's some advanced red team ops if you want to do that. Then we're going to measure attack maturity with Vector. So there's a lab on Vector as well. I'm going to walk you through all this. And then lessons learned are extremely important. Whenever you're done with this exercise, don't just walk away. You need someone. That's why you have an exercise coordinator taking down notes and writing all the feedback, right? You send daily emails to sponsors, let them know that you're not wasting everyone's time, that you're actually bringing value. Tell them about wins. Tell them about areas where you need to improve. And then in this case, we're going to use the Scythe platform. It's already been set up for you. You access it with a web app, and you're going to create custom controlled synthetic malware right now, like right now. In the next couple steps, you're going to do that. You're going to do C2 over HTTPS. You're going to do automation. You're going to integrate with MITRE ATT&CK. With Atomic Red Team, I saw a question there about Atomic Red Team. Scythe has all of Atomic Red Team test cases built in. You're going to choose one of them in the first lab. And then that's it. Hands-on time. Woo!